Our race against time is a daunting one, and it's about time that African higher education institutions contribute massively to knowledge production and commercialization of research. It would actually interest you to know that the entire African continent has a GDP to research ratio of 1.0%. And this communicates to how woefully it is to commercialize these researches and have an economy that is fully controlled by the African people. Looking at sub-Saharan Africa, with a contribution of 0.50% to research, tells you that with such very poor investment in research would also cascade and also give an effect of a less than 1% of commercialization in terms of products that we own in the African continent. On today's edition of AAU Talks, I bring you two gallant researchers here from the Cape Coast Technical University, Dr. Kojo Attiso and also Dr. Tibiru Maurice Apaliya, to be discussing the issue on challenges on research commercialization in the African continent, particularly the contribution of African higher education institutions here at this iconic library, the John Kofi Bossa Library here at the Cape Coast Technical University. So don't go anywhere. Grab your pens and papers, and as usual, we resume to discussions. Stay with me. I'll be right back. So you're welcome back on AAU Talks, the voice of higher education in Africa, where we have content to inform, to transform, and today's topic, we're looking at the challenges with research commercialization in African universities, because that's where knowledge is created and that's where the example should be set. And with me today to discuss the first phase of this topic is Dr. Kojo Attiso, and he's a university librarian here at the Cape Coast Technical University. Doc, you're welcome to AAU Talks.
Thank you so much, Ajiman. Glad
Great.
to be with you.
Splendid.
Yes.
Splendid. So many years of experience in research.
Yes.
What would you say has been the topmost predicament with research, development, innovation with African higher education institutions?
Okay. Thank you so much, my brother. So over the years, there has been talk about how Africa is lagging behind the rest of the world when it comes to research.
Yes.
And as far as I'm concerned, with all my years of experience, I think the problem could be pointed to one issue, that there's a disconnect between industry and academia. Normally, research agenda must be set by the industry and academia follows or research follows. They shouldn't go different ways. So academia and industry will say, I want research in this direction, I want your findings in this direction, and based on that, a research agenda is crafted. I'm not sure if we are doing that enough here. Compare what we're doing here to what we're doing in the advanced world, where most of the big universities are funded by research organizations outside the central government. So basically, that disconnect, that non-collaboration that is there, is what is causing this problem.
With this gap you've identified, it means that brands, or let's say firms across the world, across the African continent, are always doing new things. There are innovations everywhere. Yet, higher education hasn't got a role to play in that. So who actually underestimates who in terms of capacity to research?
So the problem is this. If industry is doing so well and academia is also doing so well, there must be that collaboration. But here's the case where it looks like academia is doing a different thing and industry is doing a different thing. So once they don't put their minds together, it's going to be difficult for them to forge ahead in a concerted way. So what is needed is that most of the time we blame the industry, we blame government that, we don't have a lot of money to do research. But for me, I place the blame squarely on our own doorsteps. We haven't done much advocacy. If you're selling a product, you should go to the client to say, this is what I'm doing. This is how it's going to benefit you. But if you are sitting in your office and you are doing research, research is time bound. It's like the law. Law must be updated. Research must be updated to meet the demands of the time. If you are doing your own thing and you remain there and the industry doesn't know, a time will come your research is going to go stale. So you see that in Africa today, a lot of the universities are doing great research, but the findings are not being used. So it gets to a time when it goes stale, and the same thing has to be repeated. So it is only when the two come, the research academia come together, before they can, have a way forward that's going to benefit the whole nation. Yes.
It occurs that higher education in Africa is not trying to be, it's not well positioned to attract the attention that industry is actually scouting for.
Yes.
Is that the point?
Well, I don't understand the question very well. But
positioning in terms of purpose and capacity to convince industry that, well, you are in the position to undertake this research and inform our next brand strategy. Would you say that higher education hasn't done enough of preparation, organizing, and positioning to attract the interest of industry to invest for that result that they're looking for?
Yeah, in a way, Ajuma, you are right. But in a way too, it comes back to the first point that I already raised. If I do not know what you are doing, if industry doesn't know what you are doing, for example, the government over the years, a few years, created a technical university. The polytechnics turned into technical universities. Each of them is given a niche area. So if our niche area at CCTU is renewable energy, so it is incumbent over this university to go out there to find out which industries are doing things in that similar, in that line, and to tell them this is how our research could be beneficial to what you're doing. Then that collaboration starts. But you can't just be doing the research. In fact, most of the research that we do here doesn't benefit. In fact, it does benefit people outside the African continent. Because sometime down the line, I'm going to show you how research data is limited to people. Sometimes you publish a paper in a kind of journal, and then the people for whom that research is supposed to work for don't even benefit, because the journal is a subscription journal. You have to pay before you have access to it. If you say Legon, pay $1 million, CCT, pay $1 million before you get it. You can do that, you can pay. So the research benefits people outside us. So in a way, that close-knit working together, collaboration is not there. And that, as long as that collaboration is not there, things are going to fall apart. And looks like this is one of the reasons where you say that we haven't positioned ourselves well. They don't know what we're doing. We know what we're doing, but we haven't done much advocacy to tell them this is how our research is going to benefit you. And the advocacy must be strong, stronger than ever, before it will work.
I want you to appreciate how pragmatic this conversation can be. Let's try and pragmatize what we're saying. Give us one research agenda you took in CCTU and how you've been able to take it, and how close are you to commercialize it, and also getting the industry to buy in with your purpose of recyclable energy, renewable energy. That's the course. Yes. Give us something pragmatic.
Okay. First of all, I'm not in that department, so I couldn't speak very authoritatively to that point. But I've been in some research. Recently, I've been in research about digitization of plant species that have medicinal knowledge in Africa. So what I'm trying to say is that, when this corona came, we're running helter-skelter everywhere looking for medication. Down up north, there is an institution called CSIR, whatever, CSIR.
Council for Scientific
Yeah, they have one of their centers there. So I've been part of one of the research there. So what they are doing is to digitize the knowledge that our traditional plants, such as a champon. I know you know the champon plant. All these plants that you see, they contain medicine. They contain something that can cure. When you go to our villages, our parents, how did they live? They lived through the time without relying on conventional medication. So there's data there. So what I'm trying to do is to digitize them. They are getting rotten. So we went there, we digitized them, and then we made the information available to the rest of the world to let them know that, it's not only the world, it's not only the Western world that can, do this, but we also have a way of doing it. This is our data. That data is getting rotten. So bringing that data, making it available to the rest of the world, and which of course companies are allowed to come and buy in and use the information. So that is how you have to commercialize your research. You need to tell that maybe the scientific organization, the health centers, that, oh, there's information here that you can tap into if you want to do something in relation to XYZ. So making data available, which is also one problem in Africa. Access to data is also a trouble in Africa. Sometimes, I mean, you can, people doing work here, people doing masters and PhD, they want something they don't have. Some of, like I said, some of the information are in subscribed databases. What that means is that you need to pay dollars, US dollars, to have them. But if we can have them in open access form, where everybody can have that free access, then it's going to go a long way to help all of us.
You know, pointing on open access and open science as one of the basic facets to ensure that we enhance our strength towards commercialization of our research.
Yes.
With regards to institutions in Africa, what has been your biggest challenge thus far, creating a common repository where all these findings could be uploaded onto, trying to create a level ground for people to be able to, for industry, to see your works, and also try and invest to commercialization? How well have you tried towards creating that repository?
Thank you so much. First of all, we in Ghana, the universities and the research organization have an association or colleague, consortium of academic and research libraries in Ghana, where all the universities, we try to upload all our research. And then there's a database that we use. We call it the COA. No, the COA is a software that we use. So that everybody, so CCTU, ATU, Legon, everywhere, whatever you're doing, you upload it onto that database, and then you make it accessible to everybody within that group, within that association, and that is working very well to our advantage. Here we are about 90% complete, and very soon you could be living in Accra and I'll call Ajima, come on, tap onto our database and see what the kind of research we are doing. Department, the engineering, renewable energy, they are doing great stuff. But if you have a great staff, that great staff is locked up in your closet. It is only you who know it. Because I'm not allowed to enter your closet. So it's like you are sitting on gold. You need to bring the gold out for people to see, this is gold. This is going to benefit me. Can I buy it? So that is where it starts from. It starts from that collaboration. So the collaboration that the libraries have started is a great thing that is one of the best things that has ever happened to research in this country.
Would you allude to the fact that, I mean, the Tibiru trying to come up with this very awesome platform has actually costed you a lot in terms of industry's interest in your preparedness for commercialization?
The delay.
Yes.
Did you say the delay?
Yes.
Sure, the delay, yeah, really, it has really cost us. Because gone were the days when I was in Legon doing my masters. I mean, you were doing math, and it was so difficult to get access to such basic information, basic data to write your dissertation or your thesis. These days with this, now you can go online, University of Ghana, somebody is doing something here, Ajimai went to tech, is doing something there. And I mean, access in the 21st century, information is the last thing that we should be needing. Information is the last thing that we shouldn't have access to. It should be so by the click of a computer mouse, everybody should have access to almost everything across the world. Now, like I told you, a lot of the big databases are in subscribed journals. So with this program that we're doing, we're going to make sure everybody is going to have access to the most basic information, and that's also going to benefit industry. Industry is going to be able to tap into it. Tech is doing this and CC2 is doing that. How are we going to forge? How can we use it? This is their findings. This is the direction, the trend of their research. This is the trend here. What should we do? So that is how it's going to go. So the presence of that database is going to help us a lot. And CCTU, when our project is complete, I'm going to call the AAU TV to come and then we'll have a chat.
Yes, more gladly. But let's now talk more about the Cape Coast Telecom University research agenda.
Yes.
And how well is it prepared to be robust, formidable, and channeled straight to commercialization,
Yeah.
not just on the shelves, but to be commercialized. And what channel has that been created for industry to link in?
Yes. Was it last week, Thursday or Friday, the university unveiled its research agenda? And in that research agenda, everything is in there. Our aim is to become one of the best research when it comes to the technical universities. You know, the TVET, the technical universities in a way are a bit different from the traditional university in that we want to do something practical. That's what the TVET is formed. Now, so what we are doing that at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we have all the practical research that are done in all the universities in CCTU is put in there in our database for easy access to for everybody. Was it last month or so the Department of Engineering came out with a wonderful product. This is automatic auto wash. It's about one of the best in the country, or one of the first. I haven't seen it before. We are doing literature on that. That literature is going to be uploaded. Companies are going to tap into it. And then that is where the commercialization of our research starts. There's a bus, the CCT also working on that, and I'm sure that when you talk to the VC, he knows more about this. A bus that's going to be branded where you can get in and have stuff that are not supposed to be done on a bus. Is going to be one of the first in this country. So at the end of the day, our research agenda is clear to make us one of the best research institutions when it comes to technical universities.
What's the focus? Primarily, what's the focus?
The focus?
Yeah.
The focus is to help the industry. To help the, first of all, our focus is to, if you read our mission, to be one of the best technical universities when it comes to research and innovation. So that is what we are working towards. All the departments, we all work towards that agenda. Yes.
You initially mentioned renewable energy.
Renewable energy.
Are there other target areas that you also research it towards?
So when we say niche area, it doesn't mean that is the only area you work on. So that is like, the government in its GTech in its own estimation decided that, I'll give you this niche area. So work on that.
Okay.
But there are so many other areas. We have hospitality manager. We will have one of the best hospitality departments here with PhDs, with great publication. We have liberal arts. Even though we are technical university, we are also allowed to have other departments. We have liberal arts, and I just got in my proposal accepted to do a library science education in this university. Because Ajima, you know what? There is only one main library school in Ghana. That is Legon.
Yeah.
And recently, KST, Kumasi Technical University, also decided to do one. But we want to do it at the degree level. So at the end of the day, we are producing librarians, information managers. One of the professionals we lacking in this country in great deal are librarians. We don't have them. Even if we have them, they finish and they go. So we are creating this, GTech has just approved our proposal. We're going to have a library school, maybe come next year, to train librarians to take care of the information need for people like you, like all the researchers. Put our research online, make sure it's accessible, and then, develop a research trend for academia and industry. Yes.
So it's been a very, very energetic conversation with Dr. Kojo Attiso, librarian at the Cape Coast Technical University. And as I mentioned earlier, we're having a multifaceted edition this time. So we'll be joined by another researcher who will be taking us through more on the issues with research commercialization in African universities. The challenges, the issues, we can wallow all we can, but what we need is results and headway. Stay with us, we'll be right back. So you were watching AAU Talks on AAU TV, the voice of higher education in Africa. And before we went on the break, I told you that this edition is a multifaceted one. So we'll be having multiple guests. And our second guest is in right at the iconic spot at the John Kofi Bossa Library. I have with me Dr. Tibiru Maurice Apaliya at the Cape Coast Technical University to talk about the factors that are hampering Africa's efforts to commercialize research and their innovations. African higher education institutions are the core of this matter. Doc, you're welcome to AAU Talks.
Thank you very much.
So we've previously with Dr. Kojo Attiso, we held the matter to a point, and you are also here to take it to the next level. Let's look at the factors per your experience that are inhibiting research and innovation commercialization in African higher education institutions. There are a myriad of factors, a myriad of issues, lack of research ethics. Some say the rush to publish for promotion. Some say the cost of patenting. But what are you going to say?
Yeah, so what I would add to that is the inadequate infrastructure that is really available for researchers to want to conduct research is a factor. The time available for the researcher is also a constraint. And then possibly our inability to nurture or groom the young faculty members is also a factor. Now, these factors, in a way, prevent young and upcoming lecturers to want to research. And so this negatively affects us as a continent. That's what I would say.
Look at the issue of publishing in the hastily manner for promotion and not well nurtured for commercialization. If that comes to book in your records, how has it got a role to play in deterring our efforts to commercialize as institutions?
Yeah, I would say that it's really not too good to say that one's promotion should be based on just publications. But once you tie it to that, lecturers, or for that matter, researchers will do whatever they can to meet that because they want to be promoted. But I think that research is to impact on society. You should be able to conduct research that one can refer to be able to come out with a product, to be able to come out with something creative or innovative and patent. And so if you put this clause there that one has to publish before you can ascend to another level or another rank, then you are more or less encouraging people to do things that might not be right in terms of the ethics. And so I am of the view that instead of say, okay, you want to move from a senior lecturer to associate professor, you must publish, let's say, 10 papers. I am of the view that if, for example, I am able to publish in a very good journal, take Nature, for example. If I should publish in Nature or Cell, if I should publish in such journals, even one, I think that it should be equivalent to maybe 2 or 3 research articles. So if we do it this way, then we are indirectly encouraging people to do quality research. They will take their time and ensure that whatever is required to enhance the quality of the paper is done. So I think that we should look at that.
No, there is also an opposing argument with what you just said with regards to why are we targeting high impact journals and why are we not creating our impact journal in our local or domestic circles in Africa? Have we got an African high impact journal?
In Africa, to the best of my knowledge, maybe in South Africa they are doing extremely very well. But if you come to West Africa, countries like Kenya, they are also they are not doing too badly. But on the average, Ghana, I think that as far as I'm aware, we do not have that journals that are actually doing extremely very well, that are catching the international community in terms of research. And so once that is not there, then people are tempted not to publish in it. But what you are saying, I think, is the way to go, because once we begin to patronize our own journals and publish in them, of course, then people will be encouraged to cite them. And once they cite them, then the visibility is there. And so with time, we can ascend to become one of the best journals, just like others.
You know, you mentioned funding, funding, availability of funding to also ensure that we commercialize our research and innovation. You know, how has it been with your own experience with regards to industries in Africa's willingness to fund researchers produced by African researchers compared to other countries well in the Western world and in Europe, willingness to do so?
Yeah, in other countries, what actually happens is that there is a serious collaboration between industry and research institutions, or the universities for that matter. And so most of the researches are even funded by those industries. But in Africa, it seems not to be so. Funding comes from government subvention and IGF. And so the individual as researcher is left to his or her fate. You have to identify which area you want to research into. And so it doesn't actually encourage that collaborative research between industry and academia. And that is a challenge. So for me, I think that it's about time industry work together with we in academia so as to really streamline things. Because, for example, if you are in industry, you want to come out with a product, or you want to add something to an existing product, you may not have the competence to be able to do that. There are people in academia who can better help you to do that. So why not fund them? Release some amount of money. I mean, every year, some amount is set aside to, for that purposes. So you empower them so that they are able to actually go into the research and then help you to improve on your existing product.
Yes. So let me just bring to bring to your bear what Dr. Kojo Attiso mentioned. He actually applauded joint research and also collaboration in the private sector as a very great platform that the institutions can actually leverage to ensure that commercialization is seen to the best day of light. The other suggestion that comes in is about trying to enhance research mentorship. You have lamented on why some senior members are not encouraging others to write and understand the purpose of the research and also gain that love for it. How can research mentorship be enhanced to ensure that we get more commercialization out of these areas?
Yeah, thank you. I am of the view that the upcoming young ones really need mentorship. And it shouldn't just even begin at the time they take up this profession in academia, but at the time they are doing their graduate studies. That is where the mentorship should start. And so I am of the view that instead of just allowing the student to research and publish and come out with a thesis and then you graduate, I think that is not enough. We'll have to look at that trend very, very well. In the sense that once you are able to groom the student, expose the student to publications, okay? So you let the student understand that, look, before you can graduate, you must publish out of the thesis. Now, once you do that, most often too, the lecturers don't even actually have enough time to be able to scrutinize the student's work. But once you make it mandatory that, okay, before you can graduate and earn a master's degree or a PhD degree, you must be required to publish 1 or 2 articles. Now, once you do that, once they submit their manuscript for publication, other researchers will have the opportunity to also scrutinize the work and make an input into it. And then, of course, it's always back and forth until it is published. So the student is able to understand what actually goes into research, rather than just limiting himself or herself to the supervisor. And so, yes, mentorship should actually begin there. Now, at the school level or at the faculty level, I am thinking that people who are in the same department necessarily have the same expertise. And so the young ones that are there should sort of do whatever is necessary to allow the senior ones to mentor them. If, for example, I am writing a paper, involve the person. If I'm conducting a research, involve the junior members. Assign them roles. You do the data analysis. They do it and they bring it. You look at it. If it's not good, do it this way. You do this methodology. Why not this methodology, but this one? I mean, once you do that, then they begin to have an appreciation of what actually goes into research. Now, by the time you exit the system, they would have known the nitty-gritties involved in research. So I think that, yes, it's about time, but most often too, out of, I don't know what I should call it, greed, some senior members think that helping the younger ones to come, if you're not careful, they would come and overtake you. But I think that it should not necessarily be competition. You should be able to say, oh, I have been able to bring this one up to this level. I think that alone is enough. And of course, I think that one other thing we can do to really encourage the mentorship is to ensure that it should be like, if you are moving from one position or one rank to another, like say a senior lecturer to a professor, we should make it sort of mandatory that, okay, you should mentor 1 or 2 junior members, so that it will not be left at the discretion of the senior member to say, okay, I'll mentor you, I will not mentor you. Once we do that, then we are equally encouraging research. Yes.
what would be your final touch on the need for a clear research agenda through leadership commitments, so that we also see the need to commercialize?
Yeah, moving forward, I think that funding is very, very key, and infrastructure. Most tertiary institutions, for example, do not, like I said, do not have funding. I think that every institution, research institution or the universities should have funding set aside annually, purposely for research. Not until that is done, it's going to be very, very difficult. Imagine if you have to take the little that you are given to go and fund your own research. To what extent can you really do the research? You understand? So it means that you are constrained, you are limited, and that actually does not promote research. Secondly, in most institutions, you go there and the state of the laboratories, for example, and the equipment that are available to conduct research is simply not the best. Things like this have to be improved. Because you see, research is developing. So we need to know, okay, this field, where has research gotten to? What can I add? And that's why I was of the view that, look, in the progressive studies, it shouldn't just even be coursework. Expose the student to understand that, okay, in this field that you are undertaking, this is the extent to which the research has advanced up to. Nanotechnology, 3D, whatever. So the student knows that, okay, this is where they have advanced. So I can't go below that. You must add something to that. So once you let the student know that, okay, they feel that he or she is undertaking the study, and this is where they have set the bar in terms of research, and that you need to add something to that. There, I think we'll be making progress in terms of research.
That's wonderful. So my take is that African higher education institutions must undertake a deliberate inherent positioning of funding, allocation, and also infrastructural development to ensure that research and innovation is put together, accumulated, to ensure that we have commercial output. According to Dr. Maurice, he believes that mentorship also plays a very key role to ensuring that we have a future of researchers who are not just research and shelving, but research and commercializing. You must also tell us your take on the two-phase interviews on how we can rise from just researching into commercializing research and innovations. This is where time affords us on AAU Talks, the voice of higher education in Africa. My name is Ajiman Otrodako, and Doc, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much once again.
We'll catch you next time with another episode. Have a nice day and bye.